What's going on, buddies?
Hollow Cult, what is up? We are back as a whole, the two of us and you.
Finally.
Kyle's back on the sticks, got us all set up, thank goodness, because we all know how last week went. But
So shit happens.
he's back now, so thank goodness our tech master is back and intact.
So I wouldn't go that far on
Back in
most of those statements there.
95% intact.
Yeah.
So you survived the storm. That's good.
I did. I was surprised. It was boy, was it interesting. It was interesting. Lots of high stress situations in not so great areas, quote unquote no-go zones. 17-hour days. That is pretty dope. Super Contra. That's what's up.
I've been playing all night.
It was a long week, man. Like I said, 17-hour days, back to back to back.
That sounds terrible.
And then went right into vasectomy time.
That too sounds terrible.
And I'm still on the mend, so my pain is not done. And then before long, I will probably be getting hernia surgery. So it's gonna be dope.
He's gonna be good as new. He's gonna be the bionic man before
I better be.
Before we know it.
After all this, I better be.
What else was I gonna say here? Yeah, those 7 long ass days are terrible. I've done a couple 16s at work and it's not a good time.
They're rough, man.
Yeah.
They're rough.
I never did them consecutively. Well, hardly ever, but
yeah,
I couldn't imagine putting back to back in.
Yeah, and like I said, it was all high stress situations. You know, you're out of your comfort zone, so to speak, and just new dangers every corner. You know, not only because the area you're in, but all the hazards. You know, with the job. I mean, hell, I virtually caught. I parked next to a pole, and my guy was working on the tree, and I heard a crack, and I look over, and the pole's cracked in half, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute here, guys. We better quit doing what we're doing, and I need to move this truck because things might go south real fast.
Yeah, that didn't sound like a good time at all. You were keeping me updated whenever you got a chance, and it sounded terrible.
Yeah, it was. It sucked. But it's over with. I'm back. So I'm glad to be here and not in a hotel room somewhere.
Yeah, that's not...
That is
some people
Brother
are just
John's
trendsetters. Some people are just trendsetters.
That is Brother John's look. I will attest to that.
Twinning. What else we got here? Yeah, everybody like the live. Follow the page. Well, yeah, like, subscribe, set up the notifications. That way you can all make it back in here every week. I saw a couple new folks in here. John Riley just found your pod, went back and started from the beginning. Glad to have you. Glad to have all the common faces in here, fresh faces, common faces. It's good to have everybody in here again. Sure. This weekend, for everybody on the live, we will be at Kansas City Medicon in Kansas City, Missouri. I'll share the information on the socials again, but if anybody's out that way, swing by. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, you can pick up one of these.
Oh, yeah, look. Fresh off the press. First dibs at Medicon. Holosky versus everybody shirts.
Yep, and then it'll go on the website after we get back from that.
So if you want them before anybody else, that's where you're going to get them.
Be there or be square.
Yeah. Yeah. All the cool kids are wearing them. So what do we got going on here? Again, my internet has taken a dump. So everybody write to Frontier Internet and tell them good job for being cool. Shout out to Sarah for letting me using her hotspot to get on the live tonight. So, haven't had a lot of connection to do much research on what's going on weird in the world today. So, if anybody in the chat has anything interesting they've seen on the old interwebs on the social media that's in the world of the weird, yeah, I'm coming in tomorrow, Josh. Work. I'll roll through about 3:00.
Yeah, let me know your shirt size, Josh, because you are our sponsored athlete. So
Yeah,
we got to hook a brother up.
big homie in here, fucking on the back of his gi, repping the hollow cult. I had Frontier and it sucked. True, I can't confirm. I've been with Frontier for years and it has never been good.
Yeah, I had it back in the day too, and then I'm like, nope.
Yeah, it's never ever been a good time. So I actually think the hotspot is running better than my regular wireless.
So far, so good.
Yeah, that's awful. I hate it here. Holosky Softball League. We could do that. I'm trying to read through some of these. I did see it's not paranormal, but I did see that NATO was like, "Hey, no thanks, Ukraine. That doesn't sound like a good situation to put us in." Thailand put out a cheeseburger that's just a bun with 20 slices of cheese on it. Is the cheese melted?
Does that really make a difference?
If the cheese is melted and the bun's toasted, it's just a grilled cheese.
Yeah, I guess that's yeah. I hate all the descriptions like hot dog and sandwich and what have you. It gets out of hand. You guys make it too confusing.
Yeah. Kickball league. Yeah, my little brother's in here. We and him play video games sometimes, and he knows the struggle of that is my internet. Rod's Fishing Adventures, what's up, my friend? Thanks for the shout out on the channel this week. That was dope. We appreciate you. Anybody who wants to take a break from the conspiracies and the paranormal, head over to YouTube to Rod's Fishing Adventures and watch him pull in some fishes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Anything's a sandwich if you're brave enough.
I don't know if I like that.
In the advertisement, it's melted, but in the bag, it's just cold cheese slices stacked on a bun.
You know, I have a question for everybody. Something I was watching the other day, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. But Twiz, you don't want this smoke, son. You don't want this smoke.
What are we debating about? Okay,
I don't know.
Carry on.
I don't know. Okay, so is it me? Because I have Instagram, so that's the only thing that I have. And I see tons, or maybe it's on YouTube, whatever. I see tons of shorts where it'll be somebody speaking on whatever. You know, I've seen paranormal ones. I've seen, because there's one lady that I just saw in the clip, and she was speaking on some awesome stuff that I can't remember because my brain has just been meltdown of late. But it was like they were having an interview with Joe Rogan. And then I'll go try to look for that episode, and I can't find that episode. So I'm wondering if these people are just ultra clout chasing and using AI to fab up them being interviewed by Rogan.
I know some people were making parody ones, like haha comedy ones. Like they'd pretend like Joe was asking a question and they say some asinine answer, and then Joe would have some asinine response that they just cut out of a bunch of different Rogan
Okay.
episodes.
Yeah.
So if it was funny, then it was probably fake. But if
I
it,
don't think it was funny. I wish I could remember the context of it because, like I said, she was speaking on some awesome stuff. I think it was conspiracy type shit. And I'm like, whoa, this sounds awesome. I got to try to, maybe this is a new episode. I got to try to find it. And I couldn't find it. So I was just wondering if they have progressed, which you would think in the future that's probably going to cause problems.
yeah, pretty much everything is AI now. Dude, TikTok is just running rife with SpongeBob AI covers of songs. Mr. Krabs singing, SpongeBob singing, all these different covers of like 2000s metal songs and all this
Good.
stupid shit. But I guess voice actors that voice these characters are starting to throw a fit about AI being able to mimic their voice without their consent.
What are you going to do about it, though?
Right? You put it out there.
I mean, yeah, because like that tech is already out of the bag. Like, there's no.
Yeah, what are I wonder what your rights are legally
I don't know.
if you put it out there. Because if somebody doesn't claim to be you, if they call it like AI SpongeBob, not the real SpongeBob,
Right.
it almost takes on a different entity.
Because at that point, you'd have to copyright your voice, your actual voice.
Yeah. Which can you?
I would assume so. But I feel like it'd be kind of hard to prove in the long run. You know?
AI, yeah, I think AI is going to be a problem.
That's
Not
an
for
understatement.
probably not for us until it gets the nuke codes or some shit. But
well, I mean those things are on the brink anyways. So
yeah, that's what I said. Two things that are gonna completely change the direction of mankind. I think spoke on a little bit last episode is going to be how advanced AI gets, and if we can discover faster than light travel if it hasn't already been discovered.
I would assume it's probably already been discovered. Personally, that's my thoughts on it. I don't know, man. I'll tell you what I know I've spoke on this podcast before, but and he's way beyond us. It's not like he needs our help by any means. But that Sean Ryan show, that dude, like I said before, he's like a military CIA style guy. Started his channel interviewing vets about their war experiences. And now, dude, he's talking to the Stephen Greer about aliens and shit. Like he is straight, just like it's been this roller coaster, but it's so cool to see somebody from that world kind of start to venture into these areas.
It's a big fucking thing right now. Like everybody is talking about it now.
About what, the UFO stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
It's hard not to, like you said, because it's everywhere. So it's at the forefront of everybody's mind. And it's in the news.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna post this up and I'll read it for everybody. It says, you guys see this stuff? Lou Elizondo was posting an analogy of a 747 being found in King Tut's tomb regarding regarding finding advanced tech. I didn't see the actual tweets or posts, but I did see people talking about it, saying when they stumble across it, it would be equivalent to finding a 747 in Tut's tomb. That's how advanced the tech is compared to assuming where we think it is.
So that's just like a comparison. So
Yeah, they didn't really find a 747.
well, I thought maybe he was getting at that they found like plans for a device similar to a 747. But I understand what you're saying now. I did have somebody on Instagram send me the world's oldest hammer. And they're like, thought you guys might like this. And I'm like, that's right up Steve's alley. And I guess it was found in Texas.
Oh yeah, I can't think of it right now. What the name of it is? The London Hammer. Is
Yeah,
Steve okay?
that was it.
Those baggy eyes are giving me anxiety. Funny you mentioned that. It's probably what gave me the baggy eyes. No, they've always been like this forever and ever.
Yeah, that and lack of sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. But I appreciate your concern, my friend.
But I thought it was pretty wild because they what do you call that? When they carbon date it and it went back to before dinosaurs.
That's an old ass hammer.
Yeah.
I've actually heard of it before and I've looked into it, and again, like with anything that we do, it's very divisive. Like there's people who are all about it because it's like it's if you've seen it, just an elongated iron hammerhead, and it's got a wooden handle, and it's like the handle has fossilized and it was encased in this rock. And there's tons of people that say it is real, people that say it isn't real. And I mean at this point, like how would guys like us ever know? You know what I mean? Because you could do research one way and it'd be like, oh well, this is studies saying this is real, and then you do research the other way and it's off completely the opposite at this point.
True. And then if you think about it from the way I think about things is, I guess the best way for me to put this is the older I get, the more, and it's weird. I wish it was the opposite, but it's not. But the older I get, the more knowledge hungry I am. The more I want to learn things and learn how to do things and how things work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes to, so obviously, when it comes to certain things, I have zero knowledge in any of that. So literally, I could have
knowledge.
a homeless guy on the corner saying, "No, Kyle, this is from before the dinosaurs. I can prove it." And then he, quote unquote, proves it. And who am I to say that's wrong? Because I have zero knowledge in what it would take to carbon date or date any of those things. I don't have that knowledge, so I can't disprove or disprove anything at that point. And then that's the way my brain thinks about anything. You know, they could, what organic food, it has that label on it. It's like, well, how the hell do I know that it's organic food? Maybe it's just the same shit food, just canned in a different can, with a different label. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know the process it takes to prove that stuff.
I've actually started writing an episode that I haven't got finished yet. Not even close. Kind of on alternate history as far as like out of place objects go and stuff like that. It'll probably make its way around, but I saw Dylan was mentioning the spark plug that they found encased in the rock.
We've talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, that was one of the first ones I started writing on, but I haven't made it to that point yet.
I think it's a super interesting topic.
Yeah,
to say the least. And I would be more than happy to sit and listen to an episode on it because it's fascinating to me. And it's also at the same time, you know what? I'll be 100% honest with you. And I don't care how many people think it's dumb. I don't care. I love it. I love the idea of it. I can't say that it's real. Once again, I have no way of proving or disproving it, but I simply put, I love the idea of it. But homie on Instagram has been sending me videos about how, and we've all heard this plot before about how the giant mesas and plateaus and stuff are trees.
Oh yeah,
petrified trees, and they do bear resemblance to trees, which is just ironic. But I don't know. I love the idea that could be a reality. And I think I love it so much because it makes my brain go 100 miles an hour. And it's like, okay, well then, if that was said tree, what in the world was large enough to cut that thing down?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that that is perfectly flat across. It reminds me like if me and brother John when we're cutting trees down and you flush it or you make that cut and it's straight across. So what at that time could have done that? Because you'd think if you envisioned a man that well just
It'd be
you
a big
envision a
ass
man,
chainsaw.
right, you envision a man with a chainsaw, but you would also have to consider his size, which wouldn't that put him size-wise virtually out of the ozone? And his head would be in outer space?
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I'm kind of at with it. Like how much different did the planet have to be if it were to support life that massive? And what
But wouldn't that be
changed?
cool? Wouldn't that be so cool to see, like,
Yeah.
massive, massive trees off in the distance like that?
I'm hoping there's shit under the ocean that big.
Oh, dude, I wouldn't doubt that. The ocean is another once again, I love the idea of, can't remember his name, I'm sure some of you in the chat will remember, but the story of the dude that went to the bottom of the ocean and found a door at the bottom of the ocean. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah. I can't remember
Once again,
the name of it.
has no
Uh,
credibility to me, but I love the idea of it.
Damn, I can't remember what the door
I
was
can't
called.
either. I can't remember it, but yeah, Glenn, that's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love the idea of it. I think it's just something fun for my brain to run down.
Oh, what else? Oh, I have before my internet took a shit. Started rewatching Expedition Bigfoot. If you guys have not watched that, probably the best Bigfoot series to come out on like regular television in a long time. It's pretty awesome. I know the fourth season's been recorded and they're still fighting with big media as to when it's going to get released, so it's still up in the air. But it is cool. A couple seasons ago, they found a tree structure deep in the woods of Kentucky, and they took eDNA out of it, which is environmental DNA, which you just take it out of the dirt and it picks up any DNA traces that had been in the area. And they saw this structure was made. It was kind of a bunch of sticks, kind of interwoven, it almost looked like a teepee, right? So they run the eDNA, and it picked up strong hits of chimpanzee DNA in Kentucky. So this last season, they did it. They found some weird nests in northern Washington, and they did the eDNA again. And this time it picked up hits of orangutan DNA, which is also bizarre.
That's even more confusing now.
And crazier than that, they said even more wild than that, they found a hair underneath this nest, and it
Mhm.
was a wolf hair, but it was a very specific endangered species of wolf from southern Alaska had made its way. The hair had made its way all the way down to Washington, and they said they're severely endangered. There's only like 200 of them in the wild, so the odds of them ever even making it this far were slim to nil. But they said the odds of it may be attached to some other big migratory animal, essentially a Bigfoot, could have gotten the hair down here.
Huh.
Somebody asked, I have been watching it on Amazon Prime. It's on there. I don't know if it's on like the Discovery Plus upgrade or what, but it's definitely on Prime. But it is interesting. Like they cover some, like if you watch Finding Bigfoot while they're out there playing bass guitars in the middle of the forest. Like these dudes are catching shadow creatures on film. Like it brings in all this weird paranormal aspects, like the orbs that they say have been tied into Bigfoot sightings. They got a bunch of those on camera. There was one where they had this thermal heat signature. The lady was standing right there, and there was a little spring that was separating her from whatever is on this thermal heat signature, right? She'd take the thermal down, shine her flashlight, and there's nothing there, nothing visible. Puts her thermal back up, and there is a heat signature that almost looks like Head and Shoulders. She puts her flashlight back up, nothing, heat signature, and the heat signature just kind of backs off into the forest as she's watching it. It's weird.
That'll be awesome.
It is awesome.
And that's so, like, what do you make about the two different primate DNAs?
I have no idea, man.
Did you say they were in the same nest?
No.
Different locations?
Yes, the chimpanzee was at a stick structure in Kentucky, and the orangutan was in northern Washington.
Well, okay, that kind of makes sense then, because people across the world essentially all kind of describe them and call them different things. You know what I mean? And when they describe them, it's from different parts of the world, mind you. There are subtle discrepancies between descriptions, you know? So it would make perfect sense that it's so bizarre, because the fact that they would be kind of like a derivative of each primate, like that.
Yeah,
I
because
don't know, like the implications of that just kind of melt my brain in a way, because
that's
you would
different
ask
species.
yeah, well, you would ask yourself on an evolution basis, which one came from what at that point? You know what I mean? Did Bigfoot evolve down into primates, or did something tinker with primate DNA and create something completely different?
Dude, it's
What is going on?
if you get a chance, watch it. There's 3 seasons out, and they are good. We watched Maria speak at Crypticon.
Yeah.
It's good.
I'll have to
It's
check it
good.
out, because it does sound pretty interesting.
Because some
Especially
of
the
the
fact that they bring in other elements of the strange as well, which
and
is awesome.
she's super, like, scientific by the book. Like, she is a primatologist. She has discovered new species of primates. That's why she's out there. She said how cool it'd be to discover essentially the largest primate alive today. You know what I mean? Like, how awesome would that look on my resume, essentially?
Right, yeah.
But it's funny, they always team her up with Ronnie LeBlanc, and this guy is metaphysical Bigfoot to the roof, man. Just all about it. You almost feel bad for him because she shuts him down so much. He's like, I'm going to bring in a remote viewer, and he's going to pinpoint exactly where Bigfoot is in this forest. And she's like, if you're good with that, I'm going to say go for it. You know, just you could just tell she's like
This
not
is not
into
gonna
it.
work.
But then she gets shit that she cannot explain, like the heat signature, like almost like it's cloaking. And she goes, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know
'cause
what to
at
make of that.
Crypticon, she spoke on some of the shadows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
remember that.
And the end of this last season was fucking wild, man. They got this one old boy, Russ, and he's like flesh and blood Bigfoot dude. And he goes out in the mountains by himself, just him and the cameraman. He is on it. Well, he's got this binocular, whatever, and he's kind of scanning this mountain ridge across this valley, and he thinks it's a bear, and it's quite a ways away, and it's just this black lump, right? So he's watching it. He's like, I'm just gonna see if this bear moves. You know, he's like, it's the only life I've really seen on this mountain. I shit you not, all of a sudden that motherfucker stands up on 2 legs and takes a step back behind the tree. Like, it's awesome.
That is
Not
awesome.
like a bear taking a step. Like, it's like a person taking a step.
That's crazy. Like I don't know. And it is weird too that you bring this up because like where I've been working, it's kind of it's deeper in the woods than normal, and it's pretty isolated, just me and my coworker out there. And we'll take lunch in the woods, and it's just this very tree place. Like it's got trees everywhere and there's not much underbrush. And dude, I'm always looking around waiting for a head to kind of like pop from one of the trees. You just get that vibe.
Yep.
And not to mention because of what we talk about and delve into, it's kind of on the forefront of your brain.
Yeah,
And
you're always looking.
yeah.
Always
So
looking.
but it's weird because where I find all paranormal fascinating, Bigfoot is usually in the lower echelons for me. Like it's not, and I don't really know why that is. But here lately, man, it's been at the just utter forefront of my brain.
You need to watch it.
I
It's
will watch
worth it.
because it
If you
sounds
don't,
cool.
if you're just wasting some time, killing some time, it is probably my favorite Bigfoot show that's been out. And I'm waiting for him to drop the 4th season because they go to Alaska. And I'm ready.
And I can appreciate the fact that they include all strange into that because because we've heard reports from other ones that remove those.
Oh yeah.
Like we're not dealing in the woo-woo shit because it doesn't whether it's not it feeds our narrative or not or whatever the case may be. They
And they
want it,
run the
they want it
whole
out.
they run the whole gamut, man. They've gotten sound recordings, they've gotten trail cam. Dude, they had this one. It was one of the last episodes there. Basically, the premise is there's 3 people that kind of boots on the ground. They have one person back at a base camp, right, kind of watching all the cameras, and they send any evidence in for him to send off. And they put up a trail camera where they'd heard some weird sounds, and they were this trail camera went off, and there was a deer that was walking by, but it was real heightened sense of alert, like almost like a predator was around. It had its ears up, it was taking real slow steps, and then it went off again as he was talking about the deer. And when he went up there, it's the weirdest fucking thing, man. It's like there was no Bigfoot or anything, but there was 3 orbs right in the center of this trail camera. And then in this flash of electricity, they disappeared. They all come together and they goes poof, and just disappears, just dissipates in a flash. And the dude's like, "What am I even looking at?" And the fact they have like such different mindsets. Like Maria is a staunch scientist. Like she's legit. She has expeditions and all kinds of shit under her belt. Ronnie LeBlanc he is a kind of your all around metaphysical Bigfoot guy. Talks about them being shapeshifters, them being UFOs being involved, like the whole gamut he runs. And then Russ is a flesh and blood Bigfoot kind of guy. He gets out there, he's boots on the ground all the time. And it's cool the way the 3 of them come together and they kind of keep each other in check, kind of like we do, like if
Yeah,
somebody's going too far off, they're like, "Whoa, reel her back in there, bud." But it's good. It's good. And I'm hoping they get it all taken care of.
That's cool. It's cool that they run that way because not many people would, because a lot of like, as far as her being a scientist, most people like that would not sit next to a metaphysical person
Yeah.
with any form of seriousness at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
But it's also cool whenever those metaphysical situations present themselves to her and she's like, I don't know what to do here.
Yep. They
You
got
know,
multiple like thermal thermal videos of them doing the head peek around the tree. It gives me goosebumps, some of them. Dude, it's creepy as fuck.
that's what I'm always waiting for at work. That's what I especially here of late for some reason. Like I said, it's just really been at the forefront of my mind, just waiting to see from behind one of these trees that happen. Whether it be, something like the hide behind or Bigfoot or whatever it may be. It's like I said, very weird that you bring that up because it's been on the forefront of my brain of late.
Me too, man. It's funny that we kind of go in cycles like this, because then I started reading like Bigfoot encounters and all this other stuff, and it definitely makes me want to go up and walk through the woods at my grandparents in the evening. Take the old night viz up there, see if I can't. Dude, I would. What would we do if we saw one peak? Like legit. I just think about the feeling I got watching the show and the thermal image of that thing. Like you can kind of barely see a heat signature, and then it's head and shoulders out around the tree.
To be
And I was
awesome.
like, oh shit. It's like, oh shit.
That'd be awesome. Like it would be terrifying and awesome at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it would
what's your
be.
next move?
I don't know, man. I think with a situation like that, it's for me. It would be just live like I would be living in that moment. So if I had some type of dumb idea to move forward to it, I would. But if I had some shitty feeling, I'm either not moving at all and standing my ground, or I'm getting the hell out of there.
Oh man, there was another one. Maria was out by herself walking around, and all of a sudden she sees this huge beam of light out in the forest. And it almost looks like a spotlight on a building is just shining out flat onto the ground, right?
Mhm.
Just it's perfectly perpendicular here. And as she's like, I have no idea. She's like, we are miles away from any kind of structures, anybody else is supposed to be out here. She's like, I just don't have any idea what it is. And when she turns her light on to like look and signal it, it's just a wall of trees. Shuts it back off, and there's this light in the background of the forest, probably 200 yards away from her, just completely like something is shining a light down on the ground. It is so weird, man.
That would scare the shit out of me.
And then they interview like a bunch of First Nation people that live out in Washington, interviewed about Bigfoot, and they say like the lights are legit, and they use this um one fella they interviewed said that there's essentially two species that his tribe believes in, and he calls one of them the stick entity, stick Bigfoot, and he said they're bad, they're negative. He said, but the shadow are
Does he describe that Bigfoot?
they had pictures that were drawn,
Mhm.
and I mean it looked malevolent, but he said the shadow, essentially the shadow Bigfoot, are good. He said that they believe that they exist in realms that are beyond ours, like essentially other dimensions, and they just kind of mingle in and out. And he said the shadows are good. They teach them healing, how to respect the forest, all of that stuff. Where these stick ones try to lure people out.
Dude,
That's
imagine talking to somebody with that background. That would be so awesome.
yeah,
So
it's dope.
fucking awesome.
Oh, they're asking about the shirt. Interestingly enough, the shirt will be on sale, first dibs, at Metacon in Kansas City this weekend, Kansas City, Missouri. I'll post up all the info on the socials. If anybody wants to kick it there, that's where you can get first dibs on the Holosky versus Everybody shirt. After that, it will be popped up on the store.
Correct.
But just listening to them even acknowledge the lights and the orbs, that it's part of the lore and part of the folklore that has been passed down, is so like holy shit, there's something to this, you know.
Well, and it makes me I did not keep my eye, I don't see the pictures or anything, but like when they describe it as the stick Bigfoot, it reminds me of our Stickman episode.
Yeah, I kind of thought of that too, but he didn't really go into a whole lot of explanation as to why he referred to him. It
Right.
almost seems like he had just picked those two names, like just to separate the two species, essentially.
Yeah.
And he said they kind of butt heads with one another because one of them wants to see humanity do good, and the other one probably just sees us as meat.
That sucks. So, but obviously they can tell the difference though, right? On the fly, like
Yeah.
those people can tell the difference.
Yeah. And it's
Weird.
some of the sound signatures they pick up are dope.
See, I would have so many questions for a person like that. Like it would just be awesome, fucking awesome to talk to someone like that.
Mark, I can't remember if it was the Hoopa Indians or not, to be honest with you. That's why I was trying to refrain from putting out anything out there unless I was 100% sure. But it is, if you guys get a chance, this is not a sponsorship, by the way. Check out Expedition Bigfoot. It is cool.
Is there did he give any idea on what that light was?
Nope.
Where it came from?
Nope.
Nothing.
They went out and investigated it the next day, and she said that she thought the ground was flat across there, like she could just walk to it, but there was a huge ravine, like almost like whatever this was trying to lure her down off of this like pretty good drop off, because she said it was dark, couldn't see anything, just a wall of trees. And there was in one of the same episodes, he finds this old abandoned train tunnel, and Russ goes into it, and there is a cave leading off to one side. Something has knocked the boarding off, and there's an old cave drilled out the other side. So he goes down and he starts going through this. He's like, this would be an easy passage for any kind of animal to come through here. And as he gets to it, toward the end, there's an orb kind of out, probably 200-300 yards out, just in the middle. Like this thing kind of looked over a creek, which they call it a river in Washington, he's like, I gotta go get out there to get to it. And he starts to slip, and there's like a 20-foot drop off right outside of this hole. It's like these things are luring them into getting hurt, or
That's wild.
but
we haven't heard many good things in regards to the orbs that people see out there. Most of the reports surrounding those things have been nefarious.
Yep.
Or at the very least is threatening.
Yep. And that's what they say. They said it is whatever these lights are used to lure you further out, which is not what you want to do.
Which is probably what we would do.
Yeah. Oh, but dude, there's multiple different episodes where they're out in the middle of nowhere, like miles in the forest of Oregon, and these fucking helicopters will show up flying overhead. Kind of keeping an eye out. Multiple episodes, different states. And I'm like, come on now. Because this latest one, why they're in, I'm pretty sure it was Washington. It might have been Northern California. I can't remember right off the rip. But they interviewed this logger who wanted to stay anonymous. He said, we were way out. He said, we were deep in it. And he said, we started finding he's like, the best way I could describe it is nests. And he says, it's all these pine branches woven together, and something big would lay on them. He said, we started finding multiple of them. And he said, after I turned it over to my boss, DNR came in and pulled us right off the rip. He said, just leave the area immediately. And then he said, not long after, it was bought up by the feds as conservation area. So they were right outside. They were right outside. They were investigating right outside the conservation area.
Yeah, I probably would have been like, yeah, bet I'll leave, and then I would be right back. Unless they had like a 10-mile walk, then I probably wouldn't go back.
It's weird that they got the information from the logger about the nests, and then they stumble on to the same nests just on the other side, like just on their side of where they bought up the conservation land. It's good. It gets your brain trucking, and it lights the Bigfoot fire if it's kind of dwindled out.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me a little bit more fascinated. But you don't hear, like, for me personally, you don't hear. This is what I like. I like the backstory
Yeah.
to the situation. You know what I mean? Because a lot of Bigfoot encounters, summarized, are like ghost encounters summarized. They're very identical. They're very bland and parallel. But you get into this, more of the backstory to, your how you got there, the journey of seeing that Bigfoot. And now you're like, all right, this is interesting. I like this. I
Oh
like
yeah.
this.
They do a dope ass job of the lore, the expedition, and the evidence. They do a good job of melding
Awesome.
those three together.
I'll have to start watching it because it sounds like I'm intrigued.
And in one special episode, Maria actually interviewed Jane Goodall, the gal who worked with the gorillas in
Yeah.
Ecuador and everything, and she said that she had people that lived in tribes down there talk about running into a tailless monkey that stood over 7 feet tall. She's like, these are people that have minimal exposure to the West, minimal exposure to anything cryptid, period, and they have that they're seeing down there as well. She's like, so it wouldn't be in her best interest not to believe that there are still massive primates out there that people are seeing.
I love it. The question is, does it turn into, like, whether it's like Twiz is suggesting, lowland gorillas or the giant squid, does it, if it's found, does it turn from cryptid to animal when it comes to Bigfoot or whatever?
And if it's full biological flesh and blood, like it would. There would be
Yeah.
no choice. It'd be like the giant panda.
Right.
But if my question is, if it does have these metaphysical paranormal abilities, then what? What do we classify it as then?
Right.
Or if it's on a DNA scale where it's close to human, what rights does it have?
Valid.
Does it, if you go out and shoot one, is it murder? Does it get a protected space where it can live? And then these moral questions go into how it affects the economy. You close off all the logging in the Northwest because there's a significant population of Bigfoot breeding out there that tanks the economy out there as far as the logging, the treeing industry goes. The arbor industry just takes a dump.
Right.
Could be the same with the oil industry. Shut down those far out places because there's breeding population of Sasquatch. Oh shit. What if we come from Sasquatch?
I wouldn't doubt it. I'm open to just about any theory, really.
I just want to see one, man.
It would be awesome.
I thought I saw one when I was dry, when I worked at Coat Plastics years and years and years and years and years ago. But I was also on midnight shift, had a brand new baby, and was well sleep deprived. So it could have easily been a hallucination.
I saw Buzz Lightyear.
You did.
On the
I
way
can't
back from
confirm because
Crypticon.
I'm pretty sure I was sleep driving.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, it's an interesting show though. I'm sorry I went off on that tangent.
Oh, it's fascinating because, like you said, it kind of reignites Bigfoot for me because, like I said, I like the backstory. I like the process. That's what I like hearing. I don't like hearing, yeah, I saw this Bigfoot and he popped out from around a tree. Well, that's like 98% of other Bigfoot sightings. Like, that's not fun. Tell me what else happened. Paint that picture for me. Make me there. Allow my brain to paint that picture of me being there and what it would like to be in your shoes.
Yep.
Not to mention that when you get more of the story, that further allows people like you and me to determine the likelihood of them telling the truth or pulling your leg. When they
Yep.
give you a bland statement of, well, I seen one that poked its head around a tree and it disappeared. There's not a whole lot to go on there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
I mean, okay. Like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
So,
And like I mentioned before, the dynamic is good because you can tell Maria is exceptionally skeptical of all of the metaphysical, paranormal, Bigfoot stuff. But when it's so like satisfying whenever something happens and she's just like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
that is awesome. And it even like, I give her props for being that way as well. Whenever she sees the unexplained and she's like, I don't know. I'm kind of speechless at this moment.
Yeah. Because
Most arrogant people would be like, no, I'm sure it's like they would just have this half-ass explanation as to what it could be or what it
yeah.
probably is. And someone humble like her it's just like, I don't have a clue.
Yeah. And she's putting a lot out on the line there. Like if you listen to her speak at Crypticon, she says she has been so like alienated by her peers for being involved in Bigfoot research. She said it is ridiculous. She's like, if I go out and if I hear that there is an unknown species of lemur in South America, in Africa, wherever, and I go out and look for that, I'm respected. If I go out and discover that, I'm respected for doing all this good conservation, primatologist. If I go out and look for Sasquatch, I'm out of my mind. She's like, it's
Yeah.
terrible how the scientific field is like that.
Yeah. And you and me have talked about it plenty of times, but you look at the best example that I personally have is the giant squid. That was legitimately a cryptid. That was a quote unquote fictional creature.
It was a myth.
Exactly. And then what the fuck happened? They found it.
I actually just put a video up on TikTok that I found, and it almost, I mean, it looks like a giant squid is what it looks like. It's in Mexico, and it's a Google Earth, and they zoom in on this port, and there's not a monster cargo ship, but a pretty big cargo ship, right? And then there's a smaller pedestrian boat behind it, and then there's this massive thing in the water behind it, and it's got two long tentacles. And if you compare it, I don't know how big the ship was, but it's every bit as big as the ship was.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
So it's,
Hey,
if
but
I remember, I'll
that
send it to
fits
you.
right out of the old sailors' journals.
Oh yeah,
And the descriptions of those things ripping boats apart.
yeah. Are them fighting with whales and shit? Like people
awesome.
thought that was a myth. They thought that there was just a bunch of sailors talking shit until whales started showing up with giant
Dinner plate size suction
suction.
marks on them.
Yeah, and squid beaks the size of my monitor lodged into their flesh and shit. It's like, it's crazy.
I love it. I absolutely love it, man. And that's why I'm glad we have the minds that we have. Not everything is 100% real, but it's fun to consider the possibility. And it's also foolish to always just, nope, that's not real. 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 Man, for you people, that is a bland way of living.
Yep. Weren't narwhals a mythical creature before they were found? Dude, what are narwhals, first off? Like, I know
Aren't
what they
they
are.
unicorn?
Unicorn whales.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But how? Like, what?
It's the unicorn of the ocean.
Think about the first person to see a damn giraffe. Imagine you're out hunting, you see this thing, rise up over the hill, and you're like, what in the world? And then you go back and try to explain that to your group.
I just saw this.
Yeah, they're gonna say
This
Kyle's been out
horse.
chewing on opium seeds
Yeah.
again.
I saw a horse with a 20-foot neck.
An orange and yellow horse.
Yeah.
Orange and
With a 20-foot neck.
and horns on its head. Tiny little nub horns.
Yeah.
Yeah, same way with a
Yeah.
narwhal.
Yeah, everybody would be like, you're nuts.
I saw a
You're not even real
unicorn.
life, Kyle.
I saw a rhinoceros whale. Did what? Did what now?
Go away, Steve. Just go away.
Yeah.
He's always drinking.
He's been out on the
Get him out
ocean
of here.
too long.
Yeah.
The knot horse.
I think it's awesome, man.
Yeah, is a narwhal a knot whale?
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Giraffes are now not horses.
Mm-hmm. The rhino was the original unicorn. Dude, how disappointed was the person who went looking for a majestic horse with a horn on its head and finds a rhinoceros?
That would suck.
Just choose violence, pissed off rhinoceros.
Yeah. That would suck.
Yeah. Maynard, pandas, giant squid, Komodo dragons, mountain gorillas were all myths before science discovered them.
That's a great point. Yeah, I don't know all of them. Like Steve said, thanks, Maynard, for pointing that out. And it's crazy. It's crazy that people, because you hear Indigenous people describing these things, and a lot of people in today's world would be like, "Oh, that's their myth. You know, that's their legends and their lore. They have hidden meanings of for children not to go play out in the dark or whatever." You know what I'm talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in all reality, it's like, no, motherfuckers, we've been seeing something crazy out in the woods. Okay. This isn't some fairy tale bedtime story bullshit. This is real. That Komodo dragon is going to chew your leg off.
Yeah. You're going to get some bacteria that you don't want.
Yeah. Don't get bit by that thing.
Yeah. You will rot. The first person to see a platypus, it would be like a beaver ate a duck and the duck is trying to escape.
That sucks. Although the lore behind the Komodo dragon would be interesting. Like if we didn't know the Komodo dragon had existed and we were hearing a tribe's lore on that, that's like because it made me think of the bacteria bite, like how gnarly it would be if one of them got bit by it and then they survived the attack and then just horrid, wretched things started happening. Yeah. The lore that would come from that would be fascinating.
Awful. Dinosaur that bites you and then you slowly rot.
Yeah.
Yep. Twiz is right. It'll bite you once and then it just waits for you to die.
That's gross.
That's hard ass.
A shitty person.
That's hard ass.
That's a shitty being.
Just lurks in the background.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Stop fighting. That sucks.
Yeah.
Not fun.
If it bites you and you die, it's venomous. If you bite it and you die, it's poisonous.
Valid point.
Don't forget that, kids.
Valid point. I like that.
Forget that.
I like that.
I hope there's so much weird shit still out there that exists.
I'm sure there is.
I think about it all the time.
The world's too big.
Oh, dude, I heard this one. I was watching this TikTok and they said every culture, every I want to say modern culture, but even ancient culture, they all have a myth of a dragon.
That's weird because that just came through in the chat.
Did somebody say that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The guy said essentially, he said you could take a whole bunch of infants that haven't been exposed to anything, put them on an island, just make sure they survive. And as they grow, create language, create writing, they will eventually get to a point to where they come up with the myth of a dragon. It's almost like it's ingrained in our DNA
That's weird.
to know and fear these things, whatever they are.
It makes you wonder if we did share the planet with dinosaurs. Because that would be a damn good thing to have ingrained into your DNA to stay the fuck away from those things.
Could you imagine if a T-Rex could fly and breathe fire?
No.
That makes it worse.
1,000 times worse. A T-Rex by itself is terrible. You give it wings and fire breath,
You know what's worse than that?
that sucks. What?
2 T-Rex with
Oh,
wings and
yeah.
fire breath.
Yeah, because you're not.
A Komodo dragon the size of a T-Rex with wings and fire breath and decaying bite.
Yeah, that's gross.
See ya, Outlaw. Thanks for kicking it with us.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Have you heard the theory that the T-Rex actually had wings? If you compare the bone structure to that of an ostrich or an emu, T-Rex is the same. So saying that it would have had wings. Would the wings be big enough to get it off the ground?
That's what I was just getting ready to ask. My man. Straight up predator shit there.
I almost bought you a Predator shirt the other day.
You should have.
It was
Was it of Arnold and Dylan shaking hands?
If I find it, I'll show you. I think it was like a knockoff
Or whatever
of
his name was.
It was a knockoff of He-Man Masters of the Universe, where He-Man's standing there with his sword up, but it's Predator, and he's holding the skull, and it says Hunter of the Universe.
Good.
It was pretty sick.
I like it.
Oh, people. Where we at? Ooh, they're asking for the holophone.
We can open it up for a little bit.
Want the holophone? I know I screwed it up yesterday.
See what happens?
You know what's worse? Paying $250,000 to die in a tin can in the ocean. Ooh.
Oh, that was a low blow.
That
was a low blow.
This is why the dragons won't talk to us.
Low blow. That's interesting.
Dolph Lundgren was He-Man.
He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
I actually just watched a movie with him in it.
Was it? Did he fight in one of the Rockies or one of the kickboxers? Yeah.
It's related to that. It was Creed.
Nice.
Because on my hiatus,
also your favorite band.
Yeah, true. True. You look like you're the lead singer of Creed.
I fucking feel like the lead singer of Creed.
Good. On my little hiatus over the weekend, I literally watched all 3 Creeds.
That's
boom,
awesome.
boom, boom. They were really good. And Dolph was in one of them. So it was kind of cool.
I feel like we should do a Holo trivia night. That'd be sick.
All right, here's a phone call.
Oh, let's go.
Welcome to the night shift. What's going on?
Yo.
Hey guys, this is Rosemary. I am calling in for the first time.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Don't be nervous.
Okay. Well, I wanted to tell you guys about the time that I think I saw a ghost.
Okay.
All right. So it was my birthday. It was back in May. So it was 3 months ago. Yeah, 2 months ago. And I was coming home from Galveston, Beach, and it was late. It was like 11:30 at night whenever this happened. So I'm driving along, and there's this bridge, and the bridge is like this Lake Conroe bridge, and it's a known place where people go to fish. And so I had thought that I saw a man walking on my side of the road, like walking towards me. And I got so scared, and I went to swerve. And as I went to swerve, my headlights, they were on him. And then they, like the right one, it went to the right. And then the driver's side one, it went and it turned on him. And as soon as it turned on him, he was gone. And so then I corrected, and I was like looking for him, but I couldn't see him. And when he was walking towards me, he was wearing a gray shirt, black slacks. And I was truly, truly like frightened. And so I don't know. I just wanted to tell you guys about that.
Did whenever you saw him, did he seem like a solid being? He wasn't transparent or anything?
He did seem solid, but he was far enough away to where it was questionable if he was translucent or if he was solid. But when I saw him at first, yes, he was solid. But as I turned and he vanished, it was like the translucent happened, and then he was like poof, gone. And so the thing that's crazy to me is that on my way to work, I cross that bridge. I cross that place every single day now to go to work. And I'm always thinking, is he going to be here? Am I crazy? Like all these different things go through my mind.
It makes me wonder what the history of the bridge is. If there's any kind of myth or folklore behind it, like Resurrection Mary or something like that.
Who knows? I mean, it's a big, big bridge. And I know that what's really crazy and the reason I decided to call is because on the way to work this week, there was a man walking on the other side in a different direction in real life. He was actually going to fish, and he was legit wearing a gray shirt and black slacks. And I was like, dang.
That's
That
weird.
makes it even more weird.
It does. And there's an RV park that's, so if I was coming from town and then going towards the bridge, and there would be an RV park on the left, and then where people would walk down to go underneath the bridge on the right. And so that's why I thought he was a fisherman. I really did think that. And I have another experience I'm going to tell you guys about, because I got you on the line. So, and then I'll let you go. Okay. So this is another time I was at Galveston. I was staying at the Hotel Galvez. So the governor of Texas, remember whenever he lifted the COVID bans and we could all like go out again. And at that very moment, I went and booked a room at the Galvez, because the Galvez is like $350 a night on a Tuesday. So I got it for $80 a night. And so I booked it for 3 nights. I was so excited. And yeah, and I'm staying in this room, and I'm washing my hair like in the tub. So I'm kind of like bent over the tub washing my hair, and I thought that I had got like hit on my rear end from my husband. I was like, I popped up, and I was like, hey, and I turned around and he wasn't there, and I was like, where is he? And so then I go and look for him, and he's like snoring in bed, and I go, what the hell just smacked me?
Hmm.
A little bit of a pervo ghost.
Yes,
Frisky ghost going on.
So anyways, I thought that was kind of crazy, and I want to tell you guys about my ghost experiences. And I've never seen ghosts before. That's not something that happens to me regularly. These were just really weird things that happened.
Those are weird. The ass slapping would make me slightly uncomfortable. The bridge encounter would be fucking bizarre, especially to see essentially the same person walking in real life.
Wearing the same stuff almost feels like a time slip.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's weird.
Mind blown.
It's weird.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, y'all have a good night. Keep up the good work. Bye.
Thanks
you. Thanks for calling in. Stay weird, friend. Yeah, that's weird. She had me with like sort of a ghost hitchhiker vibe, like they're talking about in the chat. I
Yeah.
was gonna say, don't pick him up until she said, well, I saw him on the other side of the road, but he was completely real, but he was wearing the same clothes. Interesting.
Ironically enough, oh boy, he did it again.
Damn.
You crazy man. Can never be appreciated enough. But as I was saying, on I think it was the last night shift that I was on. I think it was the last one. I'm surprised nobody caught it, but there was a part when we were talking and I kept looking over my shoulder, and it could have been anything, right? Because that's what we do. We explain shit away. But I swear I felt somebody reach in between my shoulder blades and pull down on my shirt. Just a quick boop.
That's weird.
Yeah. So I kept looking over like, what the hell was that? And I usually, like, I'm sitting right now. My back is not on the chair. I'm leaning forward. Just because of the way the chair is, the whole mess of the setup. So I usually lean forward. So my back is not touching anything. So there's nothing for my shirt to get stuck on. But it clearly felt like somebody just grabbed the slack in between my shoulder blades and pulled down.
Oh, and that makes me want to rewatch to see if like the slack comes out of your shirt.
Oh, dude, that'd be creepy.
That would be creepy.
That'd be creepy. I didn't even think about that.
Was that at the same time that I can't remember when we were talking about the garage door incident and all that shit? Was that the same episode?
I think so. I could be wrong.
That's weird.
That is weird.
That's weird.
I didn't think about it. Because I was going to bring it up, but then if I remember correctly, I got sent on storm. And I remember I was wearing a white shirt in that episode.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah. I even brought it up to Shauna. I don't know if it was the next day or whatever it was. And I was like, yeah, I'm surprised nobody in the chat caught it. Usually they pay attention to those things. And I didn't initially say anything at first because I just shrugged it off. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, I don't know how that would have happened. I don't know how something would have grabbed my shirt like that.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Yeah. Sean was like, great, you're bringing shit into the house, you guys.
It's already it's been here long ago.
Yeah. And I mean, I also told her that I'm probably going to consider making custom Ouija boards to sell or auction off.
That'd be sick.
Could be kind of cool with wood that I've cut down myself. And
she's in here firing back.
Yeah, that wasn't my fault though. I didn't want to leave, so
yeah, more. That's true. We still got it from last year.
Yeah.
That's it is weird how, especially with you, when the weird shit starts to go, it starts to go.
Yeah, it kind of takes off.
Hits in peaks and valleys.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, man. Like sometimes I do think your eyes plays tricks on you. At least that's what I tell myself. I hope my eyes play tricks on me.
Yeah,
because if not, I see things a lot more than I want to admit.
I feel like we're ingrained to just explain shit away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, wow. Got a long distance phone call here.
Let's go.
Hey, welcome to the night shift. What's going on?
Yo.
Yeah, a little long distance. How's it going, though? G'day, guys.
Good. How are you?
Good. I've got to remember not to look at the screen while this is happening because there's a mad delay and it throws me off. But oh, no, there's a smile. There's not much of a delay. That's all good. I thought I'd better call in because the economy has collapsed again and I've got nothing to do today except call you fellas. So
works out for us.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And I couldn't let Rosemary be the only one. Got to share it around. Yeah. So, oh man, I don't even know where to start. I've actually got a couple of links I need to throw in the Discord first of all. Not to go back over old stuff, but yeah, I found some. I don't know. 5 weeks ago, whatever it was, that guy called in about the ghost light around the thing. Oh, well, $5. Look at that. Called in about the ghost light, and I found an article about some other troops that saw the same thing, so I'll throw that in there. But anyway, that's about that. More about me. Where do we start? So with my old house, I guess I'll just go straight into that if you guys wanted me to.
Yeah.
With the other things that was happening in there. So obviously Ghost Dad on the Dunny last time. That was good fun. I do have further adventures of Ghost Dad. So actually, I will do that. I'll just go further adventures of Ghost Dad. Bugger it. So Dad used to do this thing all the time, I guess, while I was asleep. So I had this really small bedroom, and the door didn't close properly. That's how small it was. It was so small the mattress kind of like blocked the door from closing. So yeah, it's about as ghetto as Australia gets. That was my room, and I used to just leave the door open because it was also really hot at night. And a lot of the time, I'd get woken up. I don't know, about 2, 3 in the morning because Dad's a night owl. He's up all night watching TV, reading books, hitting back ciggies, and that's his night. I don't know when the dude ever slept, and I still don't know when the guy sleeps. But since he's been smoking since he was 12 years old, he's got this really distinctive breathing. He always has, like living with Darth Vader. And he's still alive, by the way. He's still good. I don't know. He's punching on well, the old fella, but he still walks around. You can hear that breathing coming a mile away. So he should probably quit, or not. Maybe the cigarettes and anything actually keeping him propped up. I'm not sure. But when I would lay there at night and asleep, and I get woken up, and I could just see his silhouette in the doorway, and there was always this little red, like little fizz of the cigarette in his mouth, because of course, checking on the kid, having a smoke. And you'd always see the little red fizz. So it was a silhouette with just one red glowing dot in the middle of its face. And I'd always look up and, night, Dad. And he wouldn't say anything. That's all right. I'd go back to sleep. That's if I replied at all. Sometimes I'd just kind of nod and whatever. But there was this one weekend, and this, by the way, happened almost every night. I'd always look up, Dad's there, cool beans, go back to sleep. And then one night he used to play lawn bowls because he's just that kind of old fella. And he was going away on this championship thing they had about 6-8 hours away, a place called Lake Kajeligo. And he's gone in the minibus with his mate, so he's not coming back anytime soon. And since I'm about 7, 8 years old, I guess, I'm like, I want my daddy. So I've climbed into bed with Mum. I've gone into her bedroom and I've climbed into bed to sleep with Mum for the night. And again, about, I don't know, midnight, I don't even know when the time was. And this is weird because Mum and I actually saw the exact same thing, because I've woken up and Dad's there again. The silhouette, the man, he's standing there, the red fizz in the middle of his face, except of course, my old man's supposed to be 8 hours away, so it's not him in the house. But in my tired kind of state, I figured that it was him, and I was like, oh, Dad's here. And I've kind of shuffled back into Mum. That's woken her up, because I've shuffled back into her to make room for Dad to lay down. And so that's woken Mum up. She's looked up, and she told me later that she's seen him as well, standing there, red fizz going on. And when she looked up, she said the only thought that went through her mind was like, I didn't know Peter owned a brown jacket. And then she went back to sleep as well. And that was kind of it. We woke up in the morning. Of course, Dad's not home. He's still 8 hours away playing bowls. Good on him. And back in the day, the only way we could contact him was to leave a message at the front desk, because we just realized he's not there, his stuff's not there, his suitcase isn't there. And we thought, what's going on? Left a message at the front desk of the hotel, and he's called up hours later and said, no, I didn't come home. Like, that wasn't me. It's standing in the bedroom. But the thing is, I saw him. I've backed into Mum. That's woke her up. She's seen him. We've both seen the exact same thing, standing at the foot of the bed. Well, not the foot of the bed, at the side of the bed. And Mum saw enough detail in the night kind of lighting to see his brown jacket, which Dad doesn't even own a brown jacket. Well, it probably does now, but didn't at the time. Lawn bowls. Blokes wearing white. And, what that really wigged us out is, like, we've actually, Ghost Dad has made an appearance. And I think what was actually worse, although you can get ready for your best, oh, fuck that, if you want. What was kind of worse is when I've told Dad this story again years later, and I've thought about it. I said, you know what? Like, the thing is, yeah, Dad's a night owl, stays up, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? It actually doesn't seem in character for him. And I actually asked Dad straight up and said, hey, did you used to come in all the time and check on me when I was a kid growing up, like at night, come in? And Dad's like, well, no, because I didn't want to wake you up. Like, he was doing his best out there to have the TV down, the doors closed, so there's not much light. He wasn't coming in to check on me. He did his best to not wake me up. I've got school in the morning. Mum's got to. That was not Dad. Like, for, I don't know, 15, 20 years, I'm looking up, seeing this black silhouette with a red glow in the middle of its face, just one little of what I thought was a cigarette. And I was just going, night, night, Dad, and going back to sleep. So, I mean, this ghost must have got the shits. It's trying to scare this kid for years and nothing's happening. And the kid's just kind of waving at him. But that definitely scared the bejesus out of me when I thought about it. I thought, you know what? I've had yet another haunting and I didn't know. 15, 20 years of this, Dad in the doorway. Yeah, no, it's not Dad. It's, Twizzler's right. Bibbidi bobbidi beeping, ghost Dad. He's back. Yeah, like 20 years of ghost Dad in the doorway. And I did not know until I'd moved out of the house. I was an adult and I've turned around and said, Dad, is that you? No, it wasn't him.
That's weird. That's bizarre.
Was there any?
Yeah, and the only way, I'll say,
was there any specific features that made you think of your dad, or was it just the fact that it was like a male figure checking in on you?
pretty much the male figure, but I mean, the silhouette matched, you know, it was pretty much the right height and shape, you know, as a male figure. So,
well, that and it looked like he was smoking.
Known. Yeah, and he looked like he was smoking, which is a very dad thing to do. How to tell it's my dad? There's a beer in one hand, cigarette in the other, and that's him. You've got him.
It was making me wonder if it was something trying to mimic your dad.
Gross.
Yeah, well, that's it, because that'd be practically the same dad that I see walking through to the toilet all the time. That confused the hell out of us because we just figured it was him. It was that solid. So that apparition is just getting all over the place. But we wouldn't have known, and I would never have known, if it wasn't for that one night when he's 8 hours away in a hotel with his mates, and they're all, you know, sports next day. That's the only way we thought, well, he's not home on this particular night. But I saw it, Mum saw it, and we saw the same thing at the same time because I backed into her, and so that's what woke her up. So at the exact same moment, we both saw it, and both figured it was solid enough. It was so solid that even though he's 8 hours away, we both went, oh, no, I guess he's back. Went back to sleep. So
that's terrifying.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, look, it wasn't fun. No, that was shitty. So yeah, there's obviously a whole bunch of other stuff going on in that house, but Ghost Dad being one of the really solid apparitions that we saw super regularly, and yeah, the fact that it was imitating his breathing, it was imitating his look, imitating the cigarette in the mouth. Didn't realize he wasn't in the house and tried it again. I don't know what it was, but yeah, it's actually pretty scary when I think about it, to be honest.
That's definitely creepy. Like if I was your dad and got that phone call, I would be petrified.
Oh yeah. Like if I'm not in the house, somebody else is in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know. We just had some weird paranormal apathy. The entire family, every time something weird would happen, we'd just kind of shrug it off, because whether we'd hear each other's voices or see each other walking around, just all right, wasn't Dad. Oh, back to bed. I can't. I mean, I guess you hear that a lot in paranormal stories where people see an alien or they see a ghost or they see Bigfoot, and rather than any reaction that we would call normal, they just kind of go about their business. You see that a fair bit.
Yeah.
That's definitely us. So
paranormal apathy is the best way I've heard it described.
Yeah, I may or may not have actually. Yeah. Oh, yeah, theft. Why not pass it on?
Stealing it.
Yeah, because that's absolutely what it was. Because there was a couple of times. Yeah, there was literally, I think, twice where the paranormal apathy didn't kick in, and I was scared out of my mind. The first one, obviously, being when I was at the museum and saw myself as an old man dying. That scared me out of my mind. But apart from that, everything at the house, we never got the proper reaction until a while later. I mean, except for Mum with the face in the bread box. That freaked her out for years. But no, most of the time we'd see Ghost Dad walking through the house. We'd hear him breathing. We'd hear each other calling each other's names and go, oh, back to what we're doing. So I can't explain that. I really can't.
No. That would creep the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
Just randomly
yeah, and,
hearing
well,
your. I mean, then again, would it though? Because you think about it, you're like, how many times are you out and about and you think you hear your name called?
yeah. No,
You
that's
know?
it. Well, the name calling, the only reason that was so weird is it actually got my nickname as a kid as well. So it wasn't even going for the regular mum, dad, or whatever. My nickname growing up was Bunky. No one else knows that. So hey, the secret's out. 20-year secret gone. Long story as to how Bunky happened, but no, we'd actually even hear the vocal apparitions calling out my nickname. Like you'd hear my mum's voice, like Bunky, like shouting it through the house. Which that's actually not as haunting when you think. It's almost comical, but that's what it was doing. It wasn't shouting at mum, dad, or whatever. It was actually using our voices and our nicknames. And I mean, that's a whole other call-in, thankfully. But yeah, the voices, that was another one. Just
Pretty
not
fucking
on.
weird.
Not on at all. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know what that thing was, and we left it behind because I haven't had any haunting since. My parents haven't, because they've moved into another house as well, and nothing since. I think it was that house, which is weirder still.
That is definitely weird.
I definitely want to go back one day and knock on the door and just, as weird as they're like, who the bloody hell are you? I do want to kind of knock on the door and ask.
How crazy would it be if they were like, yeah, actually, we do experience all of that.
Yeah. The mimic ghost dad is still here.
But now it's just mimicking Howard.
Still smoking paranormal cigarettes and walking through the house.
Yeah. It'd be so much worse if it never actually moved on from my dad. They're like, is your dad the guy smoking in the house? Because we still see him. He's still here. It hasn't changed its form. Yeah, no, I mean they're probably part of another call-in as well, but we're renting that house. The landlord never wanted to come in on his own. The landlord's son asked us a couple of times if there's anything we wanted to tell him. And I'm like, I don't know what you mean, and moved on from that. And even when we were signing even when we did the inspection, I was only like 5 years old, but even when we did the inspection, they opened the door and just let us walk in. They did not want to go in. And we signed the lease on a bit of paper out in the front garden. They didn't want to go in and just rest on a counter. And like, I don't know, that family never wanted to go in, which also didn't strike us as weird until years later. But we're like, you know what? They did not want to see their house. So yeah, crazy times, good times, crazy times. I might go back and knock.
It'd be worth it, one way or the other.
Yeah,
oh, man. I tell you, if they've seen some stuff, I'm going in with a ghost box, bugger it. I'm going to fork out for a ghost box. And I'm going in.
You go just to ask them a question, and then you're like, well, by the way, I'm gonna go ahead and have a seance in your house. We're gonna get weird. All right.
It's like, this is my old bedroom to the right. If you don't mind, I'm just going to rent it off you for a week. We're just having a seance for a week. I mean, if it's anything like it was when I lived there, it wouldn't take a week or a seance. Just kind of stand there and it'll happen. So
that's crazy, man.
No, yeah, no. The chills I got years later when Dad was like, "No, I didn't want to wake you guys up. I never came in." Was like, great.
Oh, I bet.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that, the reality sinks in. Then you're like, oh,
yeah,
my gosh.
Yeah, that was a haunting I didn't even know was happening until I'd moved out. Great.
That's
terrible.
Yeah.
Oh God. I mean, yeah, there's just so many other stories around that place. So it's a good little place, but oof, I probably should let someone else call in at this rate though. But I'll be calling back anyway. The economy over here is getting any better. I've got nothing to do. So phone calls it is.
We appreciate it. We appreciate you, brother.
No, and not as much as we all appreciate you. I tell you, when that shirt finally hits the store, I'm going to try and be the first person over here to wear one. I'm just going to get a photo of that.
That's awesome.
One in Australia. Yeah. Yeah, no, I've got to get a photo.
That's awesome.
Love it, and love you guys. You have fun.
Thank you.
And I'll see you. I'll call in as soon as I can.
Awesome. We appreciate it.
Stay weird.
You too.
Stay weird, brother.
Thank you.
How would you react to a call like that if we were out and about and Shauna calls you and was like, "Are you in the house? Because we just saw you."
Terrified.
Yeah,
I would be
that's
terrified. I'd be like, Steve, we have to go home
Yeah.
right now.
any connotations of that happening are bad.
Oh,
Terrible,
absolutely.
terrible
It would
connotations.
scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Her saying, I'm looking at, I just saw somebody standing in the doorway that looked exactly like you. Does everything that you do, and you're not home.
Either, like I said, either you got some kind of paranormal entity in your house mimicking you, or there is someone in your house,
Yeah.
which both suck.
Yeah. 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 I don't.
I feel like I'd much rather deal with the paranormal entity than having humans are the worst.
Yeah, I
Humans have done way worse shit to me than any paranormal entity has.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, you want to take one more?
Sure.
Welcome to the night shift. What's going on?
Yo.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going
What's
on?
up?
Not much. I've been contemplating calling in a bunch of different times, and I never did it. And then I kind of wish I would have called when Tony was on, and just because one of the stories I'll tell you, or I guess a dream I had, I think you'd find interesting also. But I don't live too far from you guys. I actually live in Macomb.
Okay.
Nice.
I left a voicemail, and I don't remember. I don't expect you guys to remember. But I used to have an experience, I guess. I really don't know how to call it. So hold on a second. Let me put this other headphone in.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry, my name is Dave. And it's my first time, I guess, talking publicly about this. So
Okay.
Well, right on.
I'll try to do my best. I'm a teacher, so I'm used to talking. So
You got it.
So I haven't had anything weird happen to me for a really long time. Which I'm glad. But around the time I got baptized, and I would tell you I'm a Christian, but I'm not a very good one. Especially, if you hear me talk, I cuss a lot, whatever. I got some habits that probably don't agree with some of the things. But anyway, so around the time I got baptized, though, probably 4 or 5 different times, I used to live in this apartment. I was in college a long time. I lived in this apartment. Everybody called it the dungeon just because it was dark and it was cheap. It was all I could afford, so it was a piece of junk. I live by myself. I would see this, or I would feel, I guess, this entity, I guess, a black mass would come around the corner and I'd be dead asleep. And the only reason I knew it was coming is because I felt dread or fear. I was scared. I was paralyzed, like I couldn't move. And it didn't have a form to it. I didn't see hands or eyeballs or anything. But if I could say the name Jesus, it would disappear. Okay, so I did that a couple times. And then I'm thinking, like, because this was 2004, maybe 2005. So, I mean, I could look up the stuff on the internet. I had an actual home computer then. So I try to look up some things. But so I looked up sleep paralysis because I experienced it once when I was about 5. But it wasn't anything scary. I didn't have, like, anybody sitting on my chest. I didn't see the guy with a hat on or anything. I just remember waking up and I was like, I couldn't move or breathe or anything, or I could breathe, I just couldn't talk. And talking to my parents about it, and they didn't know either. So anyway, sorry, I'm trying not to ramble here.
Oh,
So
you're fine. You're fine.
You're good.
Trying to be coherent. So anyway, I know one time when this thing came in my room, I remember trying to make myself, like, touch my eye to see if my eyes were open, and, like, because I was still trying to think, like, is this shit real? Or, like, what the hell's going on? Am I crazy? I didn't do drugs in college. I drank a lot. I don't drink at all now. So it wasn't like I was on any, like, weird shit or anything. Like, I live a pretty clean life for the most part. Like, I work out and I try to take decent care of myself. So I wasn't involved in any like witchcraft or any shit, but the last time it happened, and again, every time it was like, I knew it was close because I had this just unbelievable fear that would come over me. Terror. I don't know how to describe it because I've never experienced it again at all. And so it's strange, but it got up to my bed and it felt like it started to pick up the end of my bed. And I uttered out the name Jesus. And it was like, it felt like it was the hardest thing to do to get anything to come out. And that was the last time I remember experiencing that thing. So fast forward a few weeks, I got baptized. And right after I got baptized, probably, I don't know, maybe a month later, I had this lucid dream, I guess you would say. And I was in a church when this church was like out in the middle of nowhere. And there's nothing around. It's just me. And there's these two guys up at the front. I guess I called them priests. And they were both short. I don't mean like little people or anything. Not that that's wrong if they're little people, you know what I'm saying? Like just shorter guys. I'm only about 5'10", so they were shorter than me. So these guys were preaching or something, and I figured out that they wanted me to come to the front. And in my mind, they were speaking like Latin to me, and I don't know why. So I get up there, and this guy has me kneel down. And I know this shit sounds crazy, so he took his hand and like stuck it in my mouth and down into my stomach and pulled something out of me. It was like a light. I can't tell you what color it was now. I wish I would have paid attention to the color of the light. But when he pulled this thing out of me, I woke up and I had like this feeling of love and warmth, and like, I don't mean like someone was literally hugging me, but I had that feeling of like warmth and love, like hugging me, and like something took something out of me, I guess. I don't know. I mean, like, what do you think?
I know where my brain goes.
My first question I was going to ask, but you answered it, was if you started seeing the being before you got baptized, which you said you did. So
Yeah,
that feels to me a lot like whatever that thing was did not want you getting baptized. It was trying to
right.
Maybe it didn't seem too direct at the time, but I feel like it was not wanting you to go that route.
Okay. So check this out. I got another part of it. And this part's kind of fucked up. So and I don't know, like I'm very open-minded about things now compared to how I used to be. So like even tonight at my house, we were talking and my kids were watching some stupid videos and Bigfoot was on it. And my daughter's like, well, what do you think about Bigfoot? And I was just like, I just wouldn't be surprised if it's real. I was like, I read during the school year, there's like 300 species of animals we discover. It's either daily or weekly or monthly or something. I was like, so who the hell knows? So I'm open-minded to things. So we went to a psychic in the Quad Cities. And this lady was really nice, said a whole bunch of cool shit. I don't remember hardly any of it because the end of it's what really fucked me up and made me mad. So I do this session. This lady, tells me a whole bunch of nice things. And because like I try really hard to be a good teacher and a good coach. And like, that's very important to me because I want kids to have at least one person at school that they know that gives a shit about them, because that's me, because that's how I try to be. So, I ask, am I doing the right thing with my career and my life and stuff? And she affirmed what I think, but that's just whatever. So I get to the end and this lady says, well, I have one more thing to tell you. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, I see that there's a dark entity attached to you. And I was like, oh yeah. And she goes, yeah, it's been with you for a really long time, hasn't it? And I was like, no. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she goes, it's been attached to you for a really long time. I was like, no, it hasn't. I go, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. So here's the grift. She goes, for 5 sessions, if you can come back, and it was like $75 a session, I can get rid of this for you. And I was like,
All right.
I was like, no thanks, lady. I was like, I was with you. And I said this to her. I was like, I'm open-minded to all this. I was like, but you just fucked this shit up for me. I was like, if you're that concerned about me, like, wouldn't you tell me at the very beginning you see something stuck with me? I was like, I don't know about that. So I don't know. Like, it's just when I think about that being or whatever that thing was from before, and then that lady said this, I never put those two things together really until I kind of talk about both of them. So I never thought they're both attached. I don't feel like I have an attachment to me about anything. I pray about that. We went to Roswell in 2017. Awesome. If you ever have a chance to go, it is fucking great. I loved it. It was so much fun. I met Stanton Friedman. Met Josh
Awesome.
Gates.
That's awesome.
It was great. I talked to Stanton Friedman for like a half an hour.
That's awesome.
And the
That is
only
awesome.
reason we stopped is because my girlfriend or my fiance, her name's Michael. She's like, hey, Dave, we need to get going. I was like, oh, yeah, that's true. We're on vacation. I don't want to spend the whole time talking to this guy that you don't even know who the hell he is, So, but I could tell you some more Roswell stuff. It was great. But, I don't know. It's like the psychic I met in Roswell, she didn't tell me anything about that. Only thing I remember talking to her about was she told me that I need to find a balance between my professional life and my family life, or I'll lose one or both. And she was right, because if I like something, I really dive into it, and I really try to find out as much about it as I can, So
Yes.
I try to be analytical, because I teach kids, man. That's important, and I don't want. There's so many things I see, on the internet, and I'm just like, what are we doing? What's going on here? So I don't want to bore anybody with how I feel about education, other than I just know there are people that are trying to do a good job teaching. At least I am. And I'm not telling you I'm the best one, but the kids I have know that I care about them. So
That's awesome.
and that's important. And that's important to me. So
It is.
Absolutely. A couple questions here.
okay.
So your first psychic reading,
Yeah.
with the lady that told you of the dark entity,
Yeah.
was that prior you being baptized?
No, this was like not last summer, the summer before. No, it couldn't have been 2 summers ago. I had COVID. It was last summer. I got COVID really bad, but I won't talk about that today.
So your second, the second psychic reading you had. So that would that have been before?
Technically, the first one would have been in Roswell in 2017, and then the one was the lady from last summer, because we went to we like to go to Galena a couple times a year. It's awesome up there. I love it. Just a little cool town. So, but the Quad Cities is on the way. But yeah, I think it was last summer. Pretty sure it was 2022. But the first lady was in Roswell. That was 17. She didn't say anything about that. So
gotcha. Because I was wondering, because the way you initially made it sound, I was on board with Steve. So, the entity not wanting to be baptized, and then once you got baptized,
it went away.
Man, I kind of feel like your prayers were answered, because correct me if I'm wrong, but Latin's used in a lot of exorcisms, right?
Oh fuck, I didn't think about that.
Yes,
that's where my brain went.
Yeah, and they removed the entity.
I never once thought about that. I never once thought about something like that. Wow.
That's where crazy. And that's why I wanted to know about the psychic who mentioned that you had an entity, if that was prior to your baptism, and the second one didn't mention it, because then I was like, oh shit, this perfectly lines up. But that went out the window. But I do kind of feel like, because you had that feeling of just almost
Something
elation afterwards, where
yeah.
you're like, holy shit, like I feel great. This is
And
amazing.
and for me, it's strange because I've always been, I don't know what to call Christian light. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a Christian, I still am, but just it's always been around. But I've never dabbled in any other shit. All that kind of stuff interests me, like the occult and things like that. But I've never we played with a Ouija board like when we were kids, like probably everybody else did, because I grew up in a small town, So there ain't shit to do, you do stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
That was when I was like 15 or 16 years old, and it was like dumb stuff. We're asking it like who we're gonna get married to and crap. So
Right.
and nobody remembers any of that. So
And a lot of times these things will connect to you, like when you're in a state of vulnerability. If you've got a lot of traumatizing stuff going on in your life, a lot of stress, they'll see that as an opening.
Yeah, I did. Well, you're right. You hit that right on the head. I was engaged and unengaged in a really short amount of time, and I spent a couple of years trying to get that girl back, which is, I don't even want to get into that. So, and I flunked out of school at one time. So I had a friend commit suicide. My aunt died. There was a whole bunch of stuff happened at one time.
Yeah, that'll do it.
They do. They find cracks in your armor, and then they kind of latch on.
Well, and I never put that all together to think of it that way. I'm really glad I shared that. So,
we're glad you called in too.
I do have another a dream, I guess I could tell you. Well, it was a dream. So, my aunt, her name was Charlotte. Was one of my mom's sisters. She had a brain aneurysm, and she died when she was like 47, 48, just sudden. And it was, I remember this plain as day. My best friend's named Adam, and him and I were, in my dream, we were at the Dairy Queen in Rushville, Illinois, because I grew up in Rushville. And they have a Dairy Queen with the backwards drive-through, and if you've ever been there, you'd be like, oh yeah, it is dumb. So, anyway, so I remember plain as day sitting there with Adam. We're like eating or whatever. My aunt walks in, sits down right across from me, and I looked at Adam and I was like, and she goes, just tell everybody that I'm fine. Everything's fine. It wasn't, nothing bad happened, and I'm good. Not to worry about me. And I was like, all right. And I just woke up, and I told my mom about it. And at first, I don't think she believed me. And then about a week or two later, she asked about it again. And I told her the same thing. It was like, she goes, wow, I wish I'd have a dream like that. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. It just happens, so. But I don't have any, thank God, I don't have any weird stuff that's happened for a while. So.
Well, that could be a positive thing. Yeah,
for sure. But I do pray for protection because I believe in that. I think, if the other side's working that hard with all their symbolism, there's got to be a counterbalance to it. So
absolutely,
the good with the bad and everything. So
I think something found you at a very vulnerable point in your life and tried to latch on, and it sounds like the baptism probably saved you.
Yeah,
saved you from a lot of trouble.
And that's crazy to think about.
That dream that you had with the Latin was probably just confirmation of it being taken from you.
Well, and even me getting baptized and going back to church was kind of like happenstance anyway. So I did an internship at the YMCA here in Macomb, and one of the days out at one of the churches here in town, they had something for kids where each room was a part of the body, and the room they came in for us was muscles. So kids would come in, I'd read them this thing, talk about muscles and stuff, and then they'd go to the next group. Anyway, so I met the pastor that day, and I probably talked to him for 4 hours. I sat down and basically spilled out my whole life to him because it was like right after I had this breakup with this stupid girl and how traumatic it was for me and everything. So I started going to church because I met Pastor Randy. And I remember going to church a few weeks in a row. And then there was a couple Sundays where I'm like, so I was hungover because I went to Western. Like, you went to WIU in the late 90s, early 2000s, you partied. That's what people did. So I was a participant for a long time. So, but I remember a few Sundays I'd wake up and be like, yeah, I don't want to go to church. So I wouldn't. And then the next week, church would come around and I'd be like, yeah, I guess I'll go. But then, I had 2 or 3 in a row where I had that feeling of you don't want to go. And I thought, like, why not? Why don't I want to go? What am I going to do? I'm going to sit here until the Bears come on, and then be mad for the rest of the day because they'll probably play like crap because they suck every year of my life. So just like the Cubs. I know y'all are Cardinal fans down in Southern Illinois, so it's fine.
It's not that much better for us.
Well, not this year.
Yeah.
I'm on the other end of that stick usually, so I get that. But wow, I guess I never put all those pieces together, but when you guys kind of like line it up a little bit, it all makes sense now.
It's weird, man. It's definitely weird.
Ooh, okay. Well,
and it all lines up. The fact that it reacted to you using Jesus' name,
Yeah.
the baptism kind of shutting it down,
and it was hard. It was hard to sometimes. Like I couldn't get it out hardly. That's what really like messes with my brain a lot, because it's like
it makes you wonder how far this thing had its hook sunk into you.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, that's like not being able to do those things. From what I've understood and heard, that's some pretty serious oppression, because they'll say oppression will affect you in ways of like you want to pray, but for some reason you have a mental block and can't remember the prayer, or you just won't do it. You want to go to church, but you won't go to church. You're like, no, I
even remember praying, like I was like, God, will you please give me a sign about what to do about this girl? And so I just randomly open up the Bible, and I hardly ever read the Bible. So I don't know. I'm somewhere in the middle with my faith or something. So anyway, so the first name I see, and there's only one name I saw on that page, and it was Jezebel. And I was like, oh shit. So I like slammed the Bible shut and I threw it under my bed, and I was like, nope. I was just like, I'm gonna make this work. I kept saying that to myself. I'll make it work. It's like, now I hear that as, being 46 years old, I'm just like, I was really dumb when I was in my 20s. So
yeah, sometimes that stuff's well out of your hands, my friend.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for listening. And thanks for putting all that together for me. And I've been a Patreon person for a while. I'm not terribly active on the groups. Just, I got a family, right now I'm off for the summer, but during the school year I coach, and I don't got a lot of extra time. It's hard to be involved with all these groups and things I'd love to, because I listen to a bunch of different podcasts and I like a lot of different people. But I found you guys through the confessionals, and then because I randomly found him through, I don't know, maybe L.A. Marzulli or somebody. I can't remember now. So, but I try to stay up to speed with what's going on. I've loved the topics that you guys have picked out, and how you go through them piece by piece in steps. I think that's really important to do. If people genuinely are trying to learn, that's how you do it. You teach people piece by piece. You know what I mean? Like, we've all watched Alex Jones, and a lot of things he says ends up being right, but it's so much at once.
Yeah.
That's
like facts.
It's like, dude, pump the fucking brakes. Like, he was right about the frogs or whatever, but it's like, there's so much. You can't just word vomit on people and expect them to listen. So
yeah, it's hard to
believe you.
Yeah, it's hard to retain all of it at once. And then not to
and
mention he dumps so much at you at once. You damn near end up forgetting it all because it's just like you said, it's just too much.
Right. If I hear things like when I'm listening, because I listen more than I watch anything. That way I can multitask.
Absolutely.
If I'm mowing or working out or whatever, driving the car. But I just the piece by piece thing. I think you guys you're doing awesome. I think it's great. Keep up the good work. I just look forward to hearing some more topics that you guys are hitting home runs on. That Collins Elite stuff was crazy. All those like operations and things, just dude, I don't know. I guess let me ask you one thing and then I'll get off because I'm sure somebody else wants to call in. But for real, who the fuck am I supposed to believe with this UAP UFO stuff?
That's the question, my friend.
$1 million question.
I'm so fucking serious. Because sometimes I think Jeremy Corbell sounds good, but then when I listen to him, he don't say anything really. It always seems like there's well, we can't give this out. It's like we always have this. We can't give you all this information. Here's just a little bit of it.
Yep, he's always got big news to drop and never does.
Nothing. It's nothing. So, and then the Gresh guy, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Isaac Weishaupt. I've been a supporter of his forever. Before he had a podcast, and he did a breakdown of what he thought about Gresh. It really kind of hit home with what I thought too, which is it seems like a lot of, the aliens are bad, be scared kind of thing. And I'm just not there. I don't know. I think if they were going to wipe us out, wouldn't they just be doing it?
One would assume.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I don't know. But I guess the last thing I'll lead you, I'll get off here so I can go lay down. I'll watch the rest of the show. When one of you guys read that about the soul harvesting, that blew my mind. Where our souls would go in this other realm and then they just get sucked back in because we all get amnesia or whatever that shit was. That's terrifying.
Yeah. I'm not trying to have that happen to me at all.
Me either.
I know. I think I'm a very independent person because that's how we were. We didn't all want to be part of a group. You were your own person. So.
Exactly.
But anyway, love the show, guys. Thanks for listening and putting all the pieces together and kind of show me the whole picture. So keep up the great work, and I'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for calling in and sharing your story.
Yep, we appreciate it. Stay safe, brother.
That was crazy.
That was man.
I enjoyed that. I love the image that he painted of him being out in that singled out church with the two pastors out there and then reaching down his throat and pulling that thing out. That was a vivid, I don't know, it made me see it in my brain.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. That's and that's
wild.
That's the conclusion that I came to. It's almost like something has attached itself to him in a time of vulnerability. He said he was going through a bunch of hard shit, and when he's looking to God, having more interest in God, thinking about getting baptized and stuff, this thing seemed to kind of increase the onslaught to not get him to go. And then when he did, got baptized, it shut it down.
Yeah.
And then that dream was just kind of confirmation saying, you had some bad shit in you, but you got it taken care of.
Yep. That's 100% where I'm at, dude. As he was laying it out, at first I was confused until he hit where the priest pulled it out. And then afterwards he's like, and I woke up and I just felt loved. I felt like I was being hugged. I'm like, oh, okay. I know where this is going.
Yeah.
No, it was fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
It was absolutely awesome.
I'm glad we opened the lines up. The calls were fire tonight.
For sure. Absolutely.
It was dope. Yeah, it was cool. But it is that time, Hollow Cult. We're pushing 2 hours on here. Me and Kyle chatted for quite a while there.
You got to get up and
First time
go to
being
work.
back. Yeah. But we appreciate you all. Thanks for anybody that donated. Thanks to our callers, Rosemary, Jeff, Dave. We appreciate you guys calling in and
All of you.
stepping forward and sharing your experiences with us. That it means a lot to us when you guys trust us with your experiences. Shout out to all the content creators in here that showed up to hang out. Counter Cult fellas, Necro's in here. I saw Paranormal Trucker pop in for a little bit. It was cool. It was cool. So, until next time, if you're around Kansas City, come kick it with us at Metacon this weekend. We will be there. You can get your grubby little mitts on the Holosky versus Everybody shirts. Should be a fun time. Check us out at all our social medias. And till we meet again, stay safe, stay weird. And if a Latin priest reaches his hand down your throat, it's not always a negative thing.